In this example, chemist models the stability index S of M of a new compound based on the molecular mass of a catalyst. An index S of M equals 0 represents that an unstable or zero state condition. Now, M equals 7 results in a stability index of 0. What are the other two molecular masses that result in the exact same thing? So remember, M represents the molecular atomic mass unit. So we're looking for values of M that's going to make this entire thing equal to 0. And we already know one of the solutions. We know that we're provided here is that one of the solutions is 7. So to find the other two, we're going to use this solution of 7. And set up a synthetic division problem. So 1, this is going to be 7, negative 10, negative 70. So there's going to be 106, which is going to be positive 742, and then 0. So this again is not going to be factorable. I can already look at the factors of 106 and see that this is not going to be factorable. To verify, if you want to use Desmos to verify that this is not factorable, I can see exactly that also, because if I graph this function, I'll notice that the graph only crosses the x-axis at one value. So your problem would be the same thing. So when you graph this, you'll notice that it crosses the x-axis in one location. So using A, B, and C as these numbers, we're going to plug these numbers into the quadratic equation, into the quadratic formula. So let me write that quadratic formula down here as reference. And let me plug those numbers over here on the side. So we have the negative, our negative b, so our b is negative 10, so negative of negative 10, plus or minus that exact same value of b, which is negative 10, will be raised to the second power, minus 4 times our a value times our c value, which is that huge 106. And we're going to divide it by 2 times 1. So x is going to equal to 10 plus or minus a square root and 2 in the bottom. So now to figure out that value that's going to go inside here, we're going to do this operation here, okay? So let's plug this into Desmos here, okay? So let me delete that, and we're going to write in, like I mentioned, negative 10 to the second power minus 4 times 1, and then times that 106. And that gives us a total of negative 324. Now notice what I did not write in on the calculator. I did not write the square root symbol. I just wrote again what was inside the square root. So negative 324. Now we can simplify this in two ways. The minimum requirement is to get rid of the negative sign, okay, and put an I instead of that. But if we look on Desmos, and I make sure, first of all, I make sure that my complex mode is on, okay? Make sure that that complex mode is on. And if I take the square root of that number of negative 324, I see that I end up with 18i. So 10 plus or minus 18i divided by 2. And since both of these numbers are divisible by 2, 10 is divisible by 2, 18 is divisible by 2, 5 plus or minus 9i would be the answer. And of course, there's the two solutions, because one solution is plus, so 5 plus 9i, and the other solution is 5 minus 9i. Now, if you don't want to do that, then the minimum thing that you have to do here is get rid of the negative sign inside that square root by putting the square root of 324 and putting an I on the outside of that. So 10 minus, and here on this one I'm going to write it in the front. You could write them both in the front, both in the back, but I'm just going to again show you two acceptable ways of writing this. So 324 and divided by 2. The one thing again that you need to do is, again, like I mentioned, get rid of the negative sign and put an I in place of that. Whether you write that I out here, again, still in the numerator, but out there, or in the front. My preferable notation is this one. I don't know, I just like the way that this looks compared to that. Oh, and this should not be both positive and negative. Let me fix that before I end the video. So that should be a plus, and you have that. So you could write it like that, or like I mentioned, you could put the I right here after the plus sign and then write in the square root of 324. But you definitely, like I mentioned, you definitely need to get rid of that negative sign there. If you write this, that will be marked wrong, okay, because of the negative sign. Nothing to do with that, just because of the negative sign. So you cannot have a negative sign inside that square root.